In 1897, like we already discussed, British forces invaded the kingdom of Benin in present-day Nigeria and burned the city down. They exiled the Oba and looted thousands of bronze sculptures, ivory, and royal artifacts. When they were taken, Benin did not just lose art, it lost its memory. Because that is how they preserved culture. So it lost its memory. For decades, museums in Europe claimed they were protecting African art. Imagine that. Who told you they were not protected? You stole the art and now you're telling us you're protecting the art for us. How dare you? They said Africa could not preserve its own art, so they were preserving it for us. Did we send you? They said the bronzes were better off abroad. Why? You don't even know what they're for. You don't know why they exist. But you see, the truth is very simple. By displaying African genius while denying African sovereignty, colonial narratives, they stayed intact. Because if those bronzes were still in Africa, the Africans would have been able to say that we made these things by ourselves. And then that way, colonial narratives that Africans are not geniuses would not have been able to hold. But the moment they were able to hold those sculptures, then they can push their narrative and say that Africa is primitive. It's as simple. Africa was framed as culture without control. That was how it was framed. But if they had those bronzes in Africa, that would not have stuck. Africa was framed as beauty without authority. Everything is deliberate. And so in the 2020s, something changed. African scholars, activists, and governments pushed back. They were like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And global opinion shifted. Germany announced major returns, followed by the US, followed by the UK, followed by the Netherlands. For the first time, the world admitted what Africans had always known. These things were stolen. You stole it. You stole it. And so returning it is not charity. Returning it is correction. You are correcting what you did wrong. But of course, they won't admit that because they won't just admit that. It's just normal. So it's fine, but return it. The return of the Benin Bronzes isn't about the past. It's about identity. It tells Africans that their ancestors were organized and sophisticated and creative and architectural. That their history isn't a blank page that began with colonization. Because believe me, between you and I, a lot of people, they cannot think about Africa beyond colonization. And if these things are not told, the coming generation, they won't know anything. They won't know anything. Even about colonization, they won't know what colonization did to Africans if you do not tell these stories. But guess what? You should not tell it from colonization. You should tell it from before colonization, which is why these conversations are important. There's a reason colonization exists, and they have to know why. Reclaiming art means reclaiming confidence, means reclaiming identity. And confidence shapes how a people see themselves. It shapes how a continent sees themselves and their future. So all those things were stolen and the confidence was also stolen with it. In the news now, there's a story of how the Europeans are telling Africans to preserve the art in air-conditioned museums and behind glass. They are legitimate concerns. But you see, still trying to tell people how to preserve their own culture, you need to check that. When stolen history comes home, so also does self-belief. And that is why these stories have to be preserved, so people can understand and people can know how they got to where they got to. The return of the Benin Bronzes, they were a form of correction. But no matter how much corrections are done, Africans also have to take responsibility for their own future by developing their own continent. You don't have to keep looking at outsiders to come and do the work for you. Even if they did not return those bronzes, you should still be able to look at yourself and say, we are a people who know ourselves, and build for yourselves so you can create the future that you want. Until next time.